Whoa! If Kennedy had lived, the Earth would have been destroyed by earthquakes. Wait, what?
I'm Travis. I'm going to be reviewing a book for you today, and I review on one thing alone, and that is how enjoyable the book was. Now, sub-factors of that are as follows. Premise, writing, humor, characters, journey, ending, and then I will give you an overall score. Alright, let's get right into it. 11/22/63. If you know your American history, you know this is going to be about the Kennedy assassination, and it very much is. Premise of the story is there's a man named Jake, who's the protagonist, and he gets a call from Al, who owns the local diner. He goes over to see Al, and Al is suddenly very sick and quite a bit older than the last time Jake saw him, which is funny because Jake saw him the day before. Well, Al shows him into his pantry, and Jake ends up in 1958. There's a wormhole in Al's diner, which leads you back to 1958. It's always the exact same moment. Jake walks around, he gets a root beer, and it comes back. And Al tells him, "I want you to go save Kennedy." Jake goes, "Okay." But the thing is, to save Kennedy, he would have to live 5 years in the past. That's 5 years you're not going to get back. When you come back out of the porthole, it's only 2 minutes later, every time. So Jake has to go think about it, and eventually he decides to do it. So the entire story revolves around Jake trying to stop the Kennedy assassination. Now, the premise of the story instantly excited me. I am a huge history buff. When I saw it on Stephen King's website, I was overjoyed. I got so excited it's not even funny. And I was counting down the days till this book came out. Premise of the story, let's go straight to the scorecard. I'm going to give it 10 stars. It's the best premise I had heard in a long time. Now, the actual writing being how clear it was, how easy it was to follow the story, how completely unaware you were of your surroundings while reading it. The better the writing, the less acutely aware you are that you are currently reading a book. And this is by Stephen King, so the writing's magnificent. You look up at the clock and hours have gone by. I read this book in 2 days. Exquisite writing, 10 out of 10 stars. We're going to go through the next category, which is humor. This isn't a comedy. I'll make that perfectly clear. It's not a comedy. It's not supposed to be overly funny. But King did a masterful job once again of putting in very comedic parts, things that made you smile, made you enjoy your journey. So we're going to give it 8 stars. Characters. The characters in this book were extraordinarily deep, like all King's novels were. You got to know the entire history of these people, you started to care for them, and that made you not want them to die, which, knowing Stephen King, they sometimes do, sometimes don't. I'm not going to reveal to you which ones do, because I don't want to spoil the novel. But the characters, perfect, 10 out of 10, you gotta love them. The journey through the book, that's what I call just enjoying where you're going. It doesn't matter where you're going to end up, it's just enjoying the reading time. And this book was exceptional. I didn't get bored at all during it, and a lot of big novels, you'll end up getting very bored in the middle. This wasn't happening. There were so many subplots, twists and turns. It was so enjoyable. It was like going through a long relationship, which it really was. So, Journey, I'm going to have to give it 9 out of 10. And I'll tell you why it's missing that 1 in a second. Now here we go with the one drawback in this book, and I don't want to be too specific because I do not want to spoil it too much for you. The ending. The ending left me wanting. It, like a lot of King books, his last big book, Under the Dome, that was an example. The ending left me wanting something else. It could have been exquisite. I'm a big history buff. I was looking forward to somebody actually laying their opinions down of what the world would be like right now if Kennedy had lived. And just to add a little bit of a spoiler in there, it gave you an idea, but it got really weird. Like, there was some supernatural stuff going on, which King always seems to have to put into his books. And to me, it really just ruined it. I wanted to see factually what would have happened if Kennedy had lived, instead of all this wormhole supernatural stuff that happened. I'm sorry if I spoiled it a little bit. The ending, I'm going to have to give it 4 stars. It really left me wanting. However, do read the book. It's an exquisite book, so don't let the ending spoil it. The ending, it just kind of, it seemed rushed. I don't know if his editor made him cut things out. I don't know what happened, but the ending's the only weak part in this book. Overall, this book was exquisite. I'm going to give it 8 stars out of 10. The only real weakness in the book was the ending. I didn't enjoy the ending very much, but the journey was wonderful. The writing was great. The premise of the book was wonderful. It was really fun to live in the late 50s and early 60s, kind of see what America was like. It made you realize things that I didn't even think about. His preparation for this book was outstanding. Historical accuracy was amazing. Really good book. If you haven't read it, definitely pick it up and read it. You won't regret it. It's a big book. Don't be daunted by it, because time will fly when you're reading it. I read this book in 2 days.